Hello Star Wars fans. Today I'm going to show you some of the techniques I used to restore the 1981 crawl from Star Wars. One of the special features that shipped with the original Silver Screen edition back in January was a partially restored version of this crawl. So I'm going to drag into After Effects right now, create a new composition. You can see it. So the flyover, you can see, has almost no visible stars, and the same with the crawl. But it has been cleaned. Also, it needs stabilizing. See, if we look at this star right here, one of the few you can actually see. You can see how it wobbles around. Well, the whole text is doing that. So what we're going to do is essentially we're going to create a new star field using this existing star field. We're going to enhance it, make the stars visible, create a new, basically a static image, which we'll put underneath here. What we're going to do is we're going to have to make this background transparent, so all you have is the New Hope that goes over our new star field, and then we'll do the same thing with the pan down and the flyover. So let's start by creating our star field. Now right here, between where Star Wars disappears and the New Hope begins, and then again at the end, before it pans down, now look at that, as soon as you start to pan down, the stars get brighter. So we can use that to help us with our stars. Where does the pan down begin? About there. Alright, we're going to use that as our star field. You can see a few stars there. So let's capture that frame. Go to Composition. I could do Save Frame as File, but I'm going to use Photoshop Layers. I'm going to save it as 1981 Stars Top. This is the top of the star field, and then obviously the bottom has the planets, which is where the flyover takes place. So this is the top, and while we're at it, let's get the bottom. This one too, Composition, Save Frame As, Photoshop Layers, we'll call that bottom. The question is there a middle? I don't think so. I think it just scrolls down and it's but let's just, with this planet visible, let's save the middle as well, just to be sure. We'll put all three together, and then we'll know. Save Frame As, Photoshop Layers, we'll call this one Mid. Okay, so let's start with the top. Okay, so let's join these three together. Now this is the top, so we want to expand only in the downward direction. We're going to change the height. We don't need it 300%, but we'll start with that and then we'll crop it. So this is the top. Let's get rid of these guides too, we don't need those. Well, it might be useful to know where roughly the start and end of each one is. Okay, so now we'll go to the mid. Take all of that, Control A, Control C, just paste it on top, move it down a bit. Okay, since we need to join this, get rid of the black bits. Don't really want the black bits. Okay, that's the mid. Top. Time to do it a bit differently. Copy that. Paste it there. Now we can see it. So Alright, so we're going to line this up. Let's try difference. See if we can get that planet on top of that planet. But look at the stars. It's interesting. To line up the stars, the planet has to be higher. Weird. Anywho, clearly the mid has better stars on it, so we want to use that, but we need the bottom. So if we select the mid portion of the top and we delete it, there we go. Now we see the stars from the mid, but we know it's roughly lined up. Alright, so I think these two stars here are supposed to line up with these two stars here. These ones are obviously brighter, so we want to keep these ones, but we need to line them up. We need to take the top and move it down. So now the stars are lined up. Put that back to normal. Just zoom out. And that's our complete star field. Crop that. There you have it. As you can see, there are quite a few stars, but we can enhance this. So what we'll do a select all, we'll copy merged, and then we will paste it in place. Turn all these ones off. Now it's a single image. We need to enhance these stars, so I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold. Now threshold turns things into just black and white. Pixel is either black or it's white, there's no grey. So by sliding this, look at all the stars. Now if we go too far, it goes completely white. I don't think there are actually as many stars as we're seeing there, but something like that is probably quite good. See the difference in the stars there? Now, all we need to do on our little copy layer here is use our magic eraser. Planet's restored, sky is restored. Still got some black there to fix, but use the regular eraser. Now, I think that's a little too bright, so we'll adjust the opacity and make it 74%. Okay, old stars, new stars, old stars, new stars. And the beautiful thing about them is, of course, they all line up perfectly with the real stars. So we save that, we use it as our background. But anyway, that is how we do the star field. Now, I've already done this once before when I did the original. So in true cooking show fashion, here's one I made earlier. It looks a little faded because there's nothing underneath it, but there it is. There's the stars. As you can see, they're all the same stars as you see here. See, those three, that group, no black lines. Now, as you can see, I've erased the planets and the planet surface, Tatooine, and the reason for that is if we leave it in, as beautiful as it is completely static. So once the flyover begins, you know, there's no grain moving about at the bottom, and it's very obvious that you're looking at a static image. So by erasing it and letting the planet show through, you see all the grain dancing around on top of it, and it looks much more natural. So this is one we're actually going to use, 81 cruel stars full PSD. So we'll bring that into here, and we're going to say merge the layers and use it as footage. And there it is, 81 cruel stars. So now let's chop this up. Let's begin right here with where Star Wars appears. I'm going to split the layer, edit, split layer. As you can see, you can also press Ctrl-Shift-D, and that splits the layer. Now I'm going to go right to the end of the cruel, but before the pan down. And these stars here, let's see when they start to move. I'm pressing Control and the right arrow just to move frame by frame. One frame at a time until we see it begin to pan. Okay, they just got real bright. I think that means the pan is about to begin. So we'll go back a little bit, about there. Okay, let's split the layer again. Control-Shift-D, and that makes this middle one here. We'll rename it Cruel, and we're going to precompose that, and I think we'll move all the attributes. We'll call it Cruel Comp 1, that's fine. We'll open a new composition. Excellent. So here we have just the Cruel, all isolated, ready to go. Now, I think the first thing we need to do is stabilize it. And to do that, we should use a star, because we can't just use the VFX warp stabilizer, because the stars are too small. It's not really going to see them. It's going to try and stabilize using probably the text, and as the text is moving, the whole frame will move with it as it tries to stabilize, and it'll just look really bad. It won't work at all. I've tried it. So another way is to use the tracker and click stabilize motion and have it choose a star. Let's try a threshold. Change the level till we can see the stars. Alright, now let's do this. Do composition, add to render queue. Let's call it temp, and we'll render that. Okay, so now let's bring in our temporary okay, so what I did was I clicked on stabilize motion. I drew a little box around the star where you can see the little X on the screen on the right side of the crawl, and I hit the play button to track forward from there, so it's tracking all the motion. I'd actually tried this maybe 20 or 30 times before, and it didn't work, which is why you didn't see me set that up, because I wasn't sure it would work this time. Ta-da! Finally! Apply that puppy quickly. X and Y. Go. Alright, so now we have a motion tracker, but it's on the wrong thing, but that's okay. Okay, so the easiest way to fix this, we've got our motion tracking information now, and it stabilized this beautifully. So the easiest way to fix this is simply to replace the footage. I think you just hold down the Alt key and put it on top, and now we essentially swapped out temp move for a composition, and now it's It's not perfectly stabilized, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was. Let's rename it from temp. So it makes more sense. Let's call it stable crawl, which is just the isolated crawl, no effects. Alright, so now that it's been stabilized, we need to make it transparent. So, well, let's see, if we get our stars, let's hide all this. If we get our stars and we put it underneath, well, we can't see them, can we? Because this is covering it. We turn this layer off. Oh, beautiful stars, but not here. We could put it on top. Now you can see some stars, which that's where the planets are, so that's why that is like that. So we need to move this down so it's at the top. Okay, and actually that raises a point. We want to make sure the stars actually line up, don't we? So let's make it difference. Oh, look at that. Almost exactly what we want. Except you can see the stars through the word Star Wars, so not quite right. That shouldn't be the case. But as you can see, that looks pretty good. Also, you can see the stars in the black bars at the top and bottom. Again, not what we want. But we need to make the stars line up with what stars there actually are there. Let's go to 100%. Can we see these stars? Well, let's go to the bit between. Let's see. Or maybe the bit at the end where the stars light up. Alright, we want to get like that maybe? And they should line up, because we took them from here. It's a little tricky, isn't it? Ah, there we go. Alright, so we got our stars lined up. What we should probably do is put on a shape. Shape layer. See the top one. Something like that. So what we'll do is we'll just draw a nice black mask around that. There's our shape layer. Okay, lovely. Now we can't see the stars as we go through. So as I say, it almost is exactly what we want, except for the fact that you can see through the word Star Wars. Apart from that, brilliant. Find edges. There we go. Now we use the paint bucket. Ta-da! Obviously once Star Wars disappears, that's a problem. But to that point, it's good. So I turn trace edges off, make a copy of Crawl Comp 1, and then use the auto trace feature under layers to generate a mask around Star Wars. Just for the part where our paint bucket fix stops working. So Star Wars is already quite small. And we'll set some keyframes, apply them to all the masks. And then just fade them out when they're no longer needed. And there you have it. Just need to do some cropping and some color correction. But the hard work is done. We have Star Wars proceeding nicely. Can't see any stars through it, but you can see stars in the background. And so let's rename this one then. Final Crawl. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do layer. New adjustment layer. Color correction. Levels. Increase the black level a little bit. That should do it. I think we'll leave it there for today, and we'll pick up with the flyover next time.